Man, the top of the Pac-12 is going to be fun. We see some wins with Arizona lately. Now we are seeing UCLA get big-time wins over Kentucky. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Slasher U. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with my co-host, Steve Feck. And UCLA defeats Kentucky 63-53, moving to 10-2 in the country. We're going to see this team probably getting really close to the top 10 once the rankings come out on Monday. This was a fantastic game, Steve. I know it seems a little low scoring for these teams, but it was really a good defensive battle. We saw some great defensive play by Kentucky, but obviously it just wasn't enough. UCLA gets the win here and wins by 10.
Yeah, and don't let that margin of victory fool you. UCLA dominated this game from the opening tip-off to the end. Here's some little tidbits to kind of back that up. Kentucky trailed in the game for over 36 minutes. The game was tied for longer periods of time, 2 minutes and 54 seconds, than they led in the game, 1:13. Wow. They only led for 1:13. Okay. And it's not like they were necessarily driving up and down the floor, so there was a really long period they led. I mean, it might have been a 2-possession time that they actually led. We talked about how North Carolina sort of restored our good feelings for them. Mm-hmm. I'm really starting to worry about Kentucky. I am. I'm worried about Kentucky. They've lost 3 games to major conference opponents: Michigan State, Gonzaga, and now UCLA. They're committing turnovers constantly. They had 18 turnovers, and every one of them seemed to lead to UCLA points. I don't know that that's an actual fact, but just watching the game, that's what it seemed to be.
Yeah.
I'm really worried. I mean, UCLA center was out. What is his name? Enon, or that's not Elon. That's Elon Musk. But I forgot whatever the UCLA center was name is, and I'm drawing a blank on this. I keep hoping you're going to help me on this one here, Christian. Don't let me sit here and dangle and hang.
I like
and
hang you out in the water.
Yeah. I have twisted in the wind here, but yeah, I mean, he was out big chunks of the game, and Oscar did. I mean, he did get like 12 rebounds or whatever, but he did nothing. He really did nothing in this game. And Kentucky, had an opportunity to dominate in the paint, and they absolutely didn't do it. Jamie Jazzkes, though, man, he was fantastic. What a great player. He had 19 points, 12 rebounds.
Yeah, he was the reason they won the rebounding game. He really was. And you bring it into mind here about Kentucky. Do we need to start worrying about this team? Because when you look at their wins they have, the most impressive win they have on their schedule is a 4-point win over Michigan, who is struggling this season as well. They've had some big the big wins haven't been against any big name teams, mostly mid-majors or even lower than that. You mentioned the loss against Michigan State, who is struggling now. You mentioned the loss against Gonzaga, who we know that at some point Gonzaga is going to get back to where they are. And then UCLA, who arguably is one of the top teams in all of West Coast basketball, right? So we can put that into perspective. But you have to think that there is some times that we really need to start worrying about this Kentucky team. We're going to see them later on in the beginning of January play Alabama. Are they going to be ready for that game?
I'm going to say no. I think Alabama by far is a much better team top to bottom than Kentucky is. And that's talking about having, the returning player of the year on the team. They always have great recruiting classes. I think the telling thing is I think John Calipari is worried about his team. And he uses the word disappointed, but it's really, I think it's worry. And if I'm not mistaken.
Did he lead with, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed"? Because if so, then we're in trouble.
I don't think that was the exact thing.
Disappointed dad. Okay.
Yeah, but it was it was along that line though, Christian. I mean, that really was. And then maybe I'm just dreaming this, but didn't Duquesne give Kentucky a problem?
A little bit. No, there was some moments. Yeah, they won 77-52, but there were some moments. I believe the first half was pretty close. And we actually, I think, talked about that a few weeks ago, talking about this game, that we knew that Duquesne was obviously going to lose that one. But there was moments where they actually looked good. And Duquesne, at one moment, Duquesne was the bottom of the Atlantic 10 for how many years now? That's not the case right now. No. But Duquesne played pretty well against this Kentucky squad. We thought it was more in favor of Duquesne being good. that might have been the early warning signs that, hey, maybe this Kentucky team isn't as good as we thought they were going to be.
Right. I mean, again, Duquesne gives you a lot of different looks. They tend to play small. They just don't have the size and size. But even in that game, until late in the second half, Duquesne kind of kept, the inside play at a check. So I am sincerely worried. Before we go too far down that rabbit hole, though, I do want to point out that in this game, I thought that UCLA tightened up their defense, and they played probably their best defensive game of the entire season.
Yeah,
they had some tough tournament showings, and certainly their defensive lapses caused them to lose, those games in that holiday tournament. But that's only going to help them going forward. It's going to give them confidence. If you come in and you play that kind of a defensive game against Kentucky, you're not going to be really worried against anybody, not even against Arizona, when you're going to Pac-12 play, as far as can your defense hold up. And again, with Arizona, they've got a tough inside game as well. If they play like this against Arizona, Arizona's going to have to be scrambling, for any victory they would have over UCLA, because I think UCLA has the ability to be a tough defensive team. I just don't know how often they want to be that tough in your face defensive team. I think they're so talented, they kind of skate through a lot of games and thinking their talent's going to bail them out. But that's where Jaskis, I think, is going to be the leader of that team, because he doesn't allow that to happen for very long. He's not afraid to get in somebody's face in the huddle and say, "Hey, let's go. We got to hustle. We got to get this. You need to get that rebound. You need to hang on to the ball." Yeah, and he's the perfect guy for that. The fact that he's back there at UCLA, I mean, that's going to be huge for them going into conference play.
Yeah, Arizona and UCLA will be on January 21st. That is the end of a 3-game gauntlet for UCLA, and it's really in a week's time. They're going to play, and you could really take it even farther if you want to add Colorado to the mix, because we know they might possibly be a sleeper. But in this case, on the 19th, they play Arizona State. Then they play Arizona on the 21st, and then on the 26th, they actually play USC. So Arizona right in the middle of that one. But they are some tough games. When you get the Pac-12 play, all those games are tough. Every single one of them, for the most part, unless you're talking about Cal, right? Because California, I think they haven't even won a game yet. So we'll put that one to the side. So with the majority of the Pac-12 is very tough play. I'm looking forward to seeing, obviously, UCLA and Arizona. But when we get into this Big Ten play, Pac-12 play, I don't know why Big Ten came to mind, but
you're thinking Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You got Rose Bowl on your mind, so you
Mine's
just
all
kind
over
of
the
naturally,
place.
yeah. That's
when we get into the Pac-12 play and we see them play Washington State, Washington, even Utah, these are going to be the teams that really are some gut checks to start off the conference play for this squad. I think they're going to be able to handle them just fine. But when we get towards the end of January and we see them play Arizona State and Arizona, I think we are really going to get the true taste of what these young guys and, with Bona, with the seniors as well, what UCLA can really do. And if are they willing, are they deserving to be that preseason number 1 Pac-12 team that most people said we're going to be? Not you and I, we got Arizona, but what most people said UCLA was going to be, Steve.
Well, I think everybody looked at UCLA and that recruiting class and those young players, saying that eventually UCLA is going to just, again, like a snowball, just build in momentum going down that hill, so that come Pac-12 tournament time, come the NCAAs, they're going to be firing on all cylinders. I think we've seen these young players mature even a little quicker than a lot of people, certainly quicker than I thought that they would. I thought they might struggle in non-conference play and then kind of just get better. So like we talked about a tough stretch like that, when you have a young team and you've got that sprinkling of veterans in there, I think it benefits them to play 3 really tough opponents. Now, USC might not be in the same breath as Arizona State or Arizona, but it's the city rivalry there. So it's a big deal. So, I think it's going to benefit UCLA to have those 3 teams in the stretch. So it wouldn't surprise me if they lose the opener to Arizona State, but then beat USC and really perhaps put a hurting on Arizona, because that's just the dynamic that this team is going to have. I think they want to get challenged. When they're challenged, I was a little shocked that they faltered in that tournament. I forgot what the tournament was, but the tournament they played in around Thanksgiving, they faltered a little bit. But UCLA's for real. Again, I still think, Arizona's the class of it. And I think there's going to be teams like you talked about, Washington State and Utah, that's going to try to smash them in the mouth. Oregon is another team. They're going to try to smash them in the mouth and see how tough they are. But I think, in this game, they showed they can be tough defensively. They can bang if they have to bang with talented, even bigger teams. And so who knows?
I'm looking forward to that one. Let us know. Are you concerned about Kentucky? Do you think that they might be one of the next big teams to fall out of the top 25, maybe like what we saw with North Carolina? And then what do you think about UCLA? Do you think they are the best team in the Pac-12, or does that belong to somebody else? Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.